fact that his hatchery is going to be a little bit late. He's not going for anything like a one-base Baneling bust or anything like that. That's what kind of Revival's looking for at the moment. But so far, Damaga just getting that early Zergling speed. We'll see how well he can use it to sort of get back in the game. Oh, losing another drone there. Whoops.
So 3 drones killed.
Yeah.
4 Revival right now.
Yep.
And Damaga's Overlord gets found out just a little bit. Drone transfer going on. But Damaga finally looking like he's going to get up his natural expansion.
Yeah, I like Damaga's position in this. I mean, yeah, his economy is going to be a little bit further down, but having that Zergling speed early on is really, really going to help him out. If he decides, I think it really would be worth it to go for like a larger speedling attack here, even though he wants to build up the drones.
Loses the Overlord, however.
Yeah, that does happen. I believe Revival's about to lose one as well, up at the top of the map. We might not see it, but yeah. No, he actually gets away. Wow.
Did get away over the edge of that cliff just fast enough.
Yeah. But I mean, losing that Overlord, not as big for Damaga as it normally would be, because his build is totally messed up at this point anyway. So look at this, going for that faster third. So instead of being aggressive, using that Zergling speed to try to defend a little bit more effectively for that fast third, but Revival scouts it right away.
Yeah, he's been there all game too. Yeah. Damaga tried to move a drone there earlier, but it was found out by Revival's Zerglings after he killed, or got forced to cancel rather, on the natural. And so now, a little bit of pressure, but he's going to run straight into that Spine Crawler. Will he be able to get anything here?
I think he will. He's targeting down a few Lings. He could target down that Queen as well if he wanted to. The Spine Crawler doing some damage. There's the attack of the drones. They've had enough.
And a little bit of counter pressure, but only 3 Lings for each of the players to deal with right now, and that'll be quite easy to deal with.
A little bit of scouting going on, but here's the thing. Damaga's got that third started, so even though he's a little bit down right now, if he has the time, he can sort of drone up a little bit, get that economy going, stay safe. That Zergling speed, again, is just going to be so helpful in terms of keeping Damaga in the game.
That's right. Well, Baneling Nest now coming for Revival. Hiding it right in the back behind the mineral line in his main.
Yep. That's all I got.
And Roach Warren for Damaga as well. So a bit of a differentiation in terms of style.
You know, we haven't mentioned too, I believe, at least I haven't heard it, his lair is like halfway done already.
Yes.
Yeah.
And by his, you mean Damaga's.
Damaga's. I do mean Damaga, yes. Revival's lair, not quite existing yet.
So there we go, +1 range. So Damaga really looking to go heavy into this Roach play this game.
Yeah, I mean, being able to have a big economy, having Roach speed, everything Damaga's doing, as you can see, is about keeping that third, about, you know, getting the Roaches, getting the Lings there in time to defend it. And so as soon as that lair finishes, I think we're going to see him go into that Roach speed. There it is, but Revival looking to make a really terrifying attack. 22 Banelings on the way.
And we don't even have any Roaches out yet for Damaga. He's been getting that speed first.
It's a little bit scary right now for Damaga.
Oh, and he's trying to come in right now, but look at the Baneling hits going down. They are just going to break through the line.
Damaga.
And he is going to pull his drones, but a couple of Banelings make it into the back. He splits the drones nicely. He doesn't lose too much, but there's a lot more where that came from.
I don't think Damaga can survive this, guys.
And yeah, about 15 Banes.
There's as many Banelings in his main as there are drones. That's never a situation you want to be in. GG. Find the drones.
Blow them up.
Yeah, that's right. It's just a little mini game for Revival right now.
He has managed to get his first wave of Roaches out, but it's just a little too late.
Yeah, it's not going to be enough, unfortunately, for Damaga.
Oh, man.
Yep.
This is painful.
Only game 1, but there it is. GG. Revival takes game 1. Doing a good job. He saw the third. He saw what Damaga was trying to do and realized, hey, you know what? If I just go for a massive Baneling Zergling attack right now, I can just simply overpower you. You've spent too much on economy. You've spent too much on upgrades. You're not going to have the army to stop me.
Yeah, what do you think about that Roach speed and the +1 range before getting any Roaches whatsoever?
I think it was a calculated risk. I feel like he took a look at Roro and thought, you're the type of player that's going to try to macro his way out of this. You're the type of guy that's going to go for that third. to try to match me economically rather than go all in on me. And I think it was just a miscalculation on Damaga's part. I mean, looking at his face right there, he kind of feels it. Revival, man, he's been really drinking a lot of caffeine, I guess.
He's amped up. He's raring to go. He's rubbing his pants.
There you go. That's destined to be a gift, isn't it, guys? Well, game number 2 is going to be on Belshir Vestige LE. No, I'm sorry, Neoplanet S. We were just on Belshir Vestige. Let's not do 2 games in a row on that map.
Damaga drinking some water, thinking about that last game.
Yep. Indeed. So I like what Damaga was doing there. I like the theory, but you know, Roro just kind of called his bluff and was like, hey, you know what? I'm just going to try to kill you, and it worked out. So maybe it was a little bit too greedy for Damaga, but, you know, after losing that natural, too, there are certain risks that you kind of feel compelled to take in that case. So I don't have a problem at all with what Damaga did. I think it was a calculated risk, and he just happened to miscalculate a little bit. Revival taking great advantage of that.
And here he goes again. He's amping himself up.
That's right. Getting psyched up, getting ready. The countdown has begun. Here we go, guys. Game number 2, Damaga versus Revival. It's loading right now.
And Damaga. It's the Foreigner's last stand for Damaga.
Yeah, this is it. This could be the end of the road. We will see.
As you can see, however, Revival up currently 1-0 on Damaga. And there we go. Revival, our blue Zerg player from Evil Geniuses.
Yeah.
Here on Neoplanet S, it's 7 o'clock. And on the other side of the map, it will be Damaga from Rokat. There we go. The red Zerg player from the Ukraine up there at the 1 o'clock position.
Yeah. And this can be a difficult map to call. You know, again, it is a little bit bigger. So what do you do on this? You know, do you go for something really crazy and all-in-ish? You know, do you try to play a macro game? A lot of ZVZ is mind games and guessing what the other person is going to try a lot of times, because the opening that you choose will have a little bit of an impact. It will give one of the players a little bit of an edge generally, unless it's the same opening for each.
Well, this was the map that we saw that wild Ultra versus Swarm host game on between Damaga.
I doubt we'll ever see a game like that
and Roro. Well, a man can hope.
I guess so. That man won't be Damaga. He doesn't want to have another game like that. Yeah.
Maybe he'll be the Swarm hoster this time instead of the Swarm hostee.
Swarm hoster. That sounds like, you know, the Dog Whisperer, only it's like he talks to Zerg units, he's a Swarm hoster. He's like, what's this? Your locusts aren't enduring? He like turns to his owner like, I can't believe you're not taking care of the Swarm host. He told me his locusts only last 15 seconds. What's wrong with you? They should be lasting 25. There's no excuse.
And there's a sad look on the Swarm host's face.
That's right. It just burrows, but only its head because it's just sad. So we did have Hatch first, it looks like, I believe, for both players. Yep, that's right.
Identical builds so far.
Yeah. Yes, indeed. So, what are we going to see out of this? I mean, generally when we see 2 people go Hatch first, they both get Baneling nests, and then it's kind of a matter of who decides to be the more aggressive out of the 2. Who decides to go for the attack? Who decides to go for the defense? You know, do you want to tech out of this? And a lot of times, these Hatch first versus Hatch first, going into the kind of the Ling Baneling stuff, will result in Muta versus Muta if the game isn't decided early on.
Well, we've only seen 1 Muta war game so far. And Damaga lost that one.
Yes, he did.
So out of all the ZVZs that we've seen today, just that one. And there we go, a little bit of a scout from both of our Zerg players right now.
Yep.
They find out that they are perfectly symmetrical in terms of their builds.
Moving those Overlords out of the main as well, in anticipation of the Queens coming out. So, at this point, things pretty even up. A little bit quicker Zergling speed, it looks like, for Roro. He did have that gas slightly earlier, but again, you know, it's if Damaga goes for that Zergling speed right away, it's not going to make a gigantic difference. So just kind of a minor deviation there as well. Basically even drones, 22 to 23. 2 queens to 2 queens. I mean, we've got ourselves, you know, about as much of a mirror matchup as we can possibly have right now. At this point, What will it be, though?
Well, the winner of this, we are going to see another ZVZ after this, no matter what.
And quite a ZVZ opponent as well. Roro, pretty terrifying in that matchup.
As Damaga learned earlier.
Yeah, exactly, man. I mean, so whoever wins this is going to have their work cut out for him. No doubt about it. But
I have to say, I was really surprised by Roro's adaptation to those ultras with the Swarm host. That's not a situation that you really generally find yourself in as a Zerg, and to know how to deal with that so perfectly was pretty impressive.
Very weird game. Yeah. So the Baneling Nest nearly finished for both players here.
Looks like we're going to see a defensive one. I think your premonition about this going into Mutalisk is probably pretty likely, Noah.
I've got a feeling if that's true, we're going to see the layers started like any second now. They're both getting to that mark, and there's a layer, yeah, for Roro, and there's a layer for Damaga, yeah. So
and Revival slips in, so he knows.
Or not Roro, yeah.
What's going on? Too many Zergs.
Too many Zergs, man. Mo larva, mo problems.
Well, the Zergs have been slimmed down somewhat as we get to the quarterfinals.
Yeah.
So.
And they're showing, yeah, Revival did manage to actually pick up a drone, and he might get another when he does. Wow. Just really making the most of every little thing. Sending in his scouting links and getting two drones with that.
Very nice control.
Yeah. And that's a bit demoralizing, too. Those little things really do kind of fray you mentally in ZVZ.
Uh-oh. Well, look at this, Toa. It's going to be a Roach Warren for Revival this time around. So the layer tech is going, but Revival gonna mix it up, not looking to go for Muta Wars.
You know, well, we did see a situation before as well, and it did involve Damaga, where he ended up in a situation where he had his mutas on the way, but it just wasn't enough to handle the huge amount of roaches that are coming out. And there's that third base from Revival, too. So, yeah, I feel like Revival kind of making that assumption that there's going to be a Spire and seeing if he can possibly punish that a little bit with roaches. But there's a third for Damaga, too. And getting that third along with Spire is like one of the oldest ZVZ builds in the book. No surprise there. Yeah, a little bit of deviation. And you know what? Revival actually having that infestation pit as well.
And look at that. He sees the Spire before it pops.
Yeah, just confirming. Had those two Overseers in there.
And he does protect his third base as well. However, Damaga running some more Zerglings across the map right now, trying to see if he can put some pressure on that third base. We're not seeing it at the moment. There we go.
He could certainly deny it. In fact, I think he will, depending on how fast those Banelings morph.
Not fast enough,
nope, not quite. So that will get canceled, or just killed, or he's not going to cancel it. Yep. That's about it. Those Zerglings just standing there in stunned silence are like, he didn't cancel it.
Wow. Well, the Roach is out now for Revival, but they are going to get surrounded and taken down. So Damaga doing a lot of damage with these Zerglings. And look at that, the Hive Tech on the way for Damaga as well. So he's not sitting idly by behind this. In fact, he's just getting some more surrounds on these Roaches.
I like this so much, actually, by Damaga. He realizes that the Roach count is very low right now. He can overwhelm it with Speedlings if he's careful. And just doing a really good job of denying that third. And look, we've got 8 mutas on the way behind this and a Hive.
Yeah, very impressive. So more Roaches coming out. Here we go, Mutalisks on the map.
Yeah, and I mean, thinning out the Roach count is so valuable for Damaga right now. So valuable.
However, that said, these new improved buffed Spore Crawlers will be popping for Revival as we speak, so.
Yeah, I believe what they like 3-shot a Mutalisk or something like that right now, but he doesn't need to really go into the main or the natural with this. He just needs to control these Overlords. He needs to try to control that third base. So I don't think we're going to see him go too heavy on the mutas. I think we're going to see an Ultra Cavern coming up pretty soon here, actually, for Damaga. That Hive is about to finish. He's got melee upgrades on the way, more drones as well. He wants a good economy. Roaches coming across the map now.
He's trying to get that third base of Damaga. There he is, taking a left turn, but Revival's base gets breached by a bunch of Speedlings, and he's in the mineral lines of Revival, but at the same time, a lot of pressure coming down from these Roaches.
Yeah, Revival losing a lot of mining time, having to deal with this as well. Very disruptive. Damaga up 20 drones right now. He's going to lose his third, though. You know, all that saving up for units really does hurt you. His Ultralisk Cavern on the way right now. I believe that was actually just scouted, too.
So, Revival pulling out both players
This is
no longer having a third base.
This has just been so strange, man. I mean, focusing so much on getting that tech out that Demaga just not putting a lot of priority on having that third or keeping it alive if he already does have it. But that's Demaga, man. I mean, he definitely plays ZVZ and anything Zerg related in a little bit of a different way than we're used to a lot of times.
And now he's going for those third and fourth bases at the same time. Of course, the Adrenal Gland's going to finish as well. And here come the Ultras. This is looking a lot like his last game against Roro on Neoplanet S.
Yeah, except the difference here is that there's no Swarm Host to protect Revival at the moment, just some Roaches. But now the Swarm Hosts are on the way.
Oh boy.
Somebody was watching that other game. All right, so I said we're probably never going to see a game like that again. But
I am laughing at you so hard right now.
You know, dude, in that first game, though, the Swarm Hosts were on the way already, really before the Ultras hit the field. Like, it wasn't a response. I mean, this time it is clearly a response, but
I'm just happy we got another one of these games.
Apparently, this is just a thing that happens now for Demaga and ZVZ.
I'm just happy we got to see another one of these because the first one was so entertaining.
Well, Demaga's got another chance to kind of adapt his play, too. I mean, last time, the Broodlords that he went for were a little bit late. They didn't come out, you know, as quick as they could have possibly, and did he really need to go for them early? You know, we didn't really have a huge indication of that quickly, but, and there's the Greater Spire. Okay, so he is getting it much, much faster this time, and that's good. That's really good, because no Spire right now out for Revival, so if he can sort of stay passive, keep those two bases, get a good Broodlord Corruptor army out there, he should be able to handle it this time. Yeah. Has Demaga learned his lesson? That's the question that we have to ask ourselves right now.
Well, he certainly has a lot of gas at these third and fourth expansions. Well, the fourth not having those gas yet, but he is going pretty hard with his map control right now and just staying back, playing it safe.
Yeah. Well, with only Roaches, Demaga knew that he was going to be able to take those third and fourth bases at the same time. And now the question is, I mean, Revival, I'm pretty sure he saw that other game with this situation in there today that Demaga played. I mean, or not, but I'm like going insane here, actually. Will he expect that the Greater Spire? Wow, my brain is just literally just turning off. I'm like, ugh.
This is what happens when you cast too much.
The caffeine is starting to drain out of my system slowly. And with it, all hope.
Well, here we go. An Ultralisk Cavern to match Demaga's right now. From Revival, however, he's been getting those ranged upgrades. And so he's a bit behind, I think, in that respect. And now the Broodlord's coming.
Dude, if this is how ZVZ is just going to be now, I guess I'm okay with that.
I think it's cool.
That's pretty neat. Yeah, Broodlord's on the way. Revival hasn't scouted this just yet.
Oh, boy.
Oh, boy, indeed.
And here comes a Changeling doing a little scouting on its own.
Yep.
And more Broodlords getting morphed here right in dead center.
I love that he's morphing them there. Yeah, that's just totally unexpected.
And here we go. Demaga has decided it is time. He has the higher army supply right now.
He does indeed. By quite a bit, too. Those two bases is helping him.
He's maxed, and there are no... When we saw Roro play with Swarm Hosts, there were like about 15, just a handful this time around.
Yeah. Well, here we go again, guys. This time the Broodlords are in. The Ultras are like, oh, wait, you're not supposed to be there yet. 107 Zerglings out right now for Demaga as well, guys.
And they have the Adrenal Glands upgrades, too. It must be noted.
They're terrifying. 7 Broodlords. I do not think Demaga can lose this game. I don't think there's any way Revival can stop this.
And Revival getting his Ultras focused down by the Broodlords right now.
Yeah.
You can see them dropping very rapidly in HP and a lot of confused Ultras and Locusts going after the Broodlings. While the Broodlords rain death from above, he's trying to counterattack, but those Mutalisks able to clean it up. Doesn't really matter if he loses that base. He's got another one.
Well, it may. He needs to really do some damage with this. He needs to push in and make sure that he finishes off Revival with this push. If this push doesn't kill Revival, Demaga's in big trouble, but no anti-air yet.
And it's going quite well, just wearing him down right here.
Oh, there's
Demaga,
where the Zerglings
there
went.
are the Zerglings right there at the natural.
In the main as well.
Absolutely everywhere.
Damaga looking in pretty good shape here. He's got all the roaches immediately surrounded. The Swarm host getting taken. Here come the Ultras and the Lings to finish things off.
There go the Swarm hosts, and there goes a big supply lead for Damaga. He is absolutely crushing his way through right now.
Yeah, that
finding
third base.
himself into the third, just having a field day with these drones.
Yep. Exactly. Doesn't stand a chance, and still no answer to these Broodlords just yet. And I don't think Revival's going to have one. He doesn't have the resources for Corruptors. I bet he's got a Spire on the way right now because he hasn't GG'd yet.
Well,
and
he
can't see the production.
He has all the Corruptors right now.
Oh, he does. He already got some Corruptors. Okay,
yeah, he's got about 8, so he will be able to clean that up ostensibly.
Need that production tab, yeah.
So
but will Damaga just do too much damage here? We'll see.
All right, but he's done so much economic damage right now. However, that mining base up at 12 o'clock may be the saving grace. Damaga did rebuild it.
Damaga so far ahead. There it is, GG. And Revival can't quite hold on to Damaga. And you saw getting those Broodlords a little bit earlier made a big, big impact in that game.
Absolutely. Well, also, I think in that game, Revival just didn't put the same kind of pressure down that Roro did with the Swarm hosts.
Oh yeah, exactly. He went into Ultras relatively quickly. He didn't really have the numbers. He only had like, what, 5 or so Swarm hosts? As opposed
somewhere
to like
between
14.
5 and 8, but it definitely wasn't 15.
Yeah, exactly. So the final map will be Star Station. We are going to game 3, guys. And whoever wins this game goes on to face Roro. Whoever loses goes home.
That's right.
For Revival, that's not too far because we're already in Korea. For Damaga, I know it's a long trip. Last time, unless Damaga moved, when I talked to him before, he needed to like take a 12-hour train ride to the airport in Kiev to then fly to Korea.
Oh,
like
man.
Damaga actually has a farther trip to get to Korea than like anybody else. It's crazy. Unless he moved. Maybe he moved or something, and he's in a little bit better spot. Hopefully that's true, because last time I talked to him about it, it sounded scary, guys. So that is a long trip home for Damaga if he doesn't win right here.
And by the way, as an update, if you guys are not watching the other stream, well, you should pop it open in your second monitor with Day 9 and Apollo, and that match is currently, it's Group C. They are in their last best of 3 currently. SOS and Hero 0-0. Only one of them will be advancing.
Wow, we did end up with a PvP actually in this.
Yeah, shocking.
In this tournament, that's insane. Yeah. Star Station is loading up, guys. Damaga looks ready. Revival looks ready. A battle to the virtual death about to play out before our eyes, and here we go.
As you can see, Revival and Damaga currently tied 1-1 here in the losers match of Group D. And there we go. The Blue Zerg will be Evil Genius's Revival, and he is spawning up there at the 2 o'clock position.
Yes, indeed.
And his cross-spawn opponent. This map is cross-spawn only.
Yeah.
In this tournament, it's the Red Zerg, Rokats, Damaga.
The final hope for the final foreigner rests on this game. If Damaga can win it, he goes out to have a rematch against Roro. A tough challenge, but we'll see if he's a little bit wiser. We'll see if he can make it, though. Revival, not an easy opponent at all. Again, you know, all those Zergs that came out of the TSL house, Revival, Hyun, and Symbol, generally pretty good ZVZers.
Well, it makes sense. You got a lot of talented Zergs on one team.
You know, there was a point in 2012 where Revival just was not losing ZVZ very much. He had a build that involved going into like about 8 mutas, using it to cover a third base, going from there into heavy Infestor Ultra, or not Infestor Ultra, Roach Infestor, and it was nearly unstoppable. Not a lot of people beat that build.
Well, it looks like Hero did drop the first game against SOS right now, so
yeah,
he looks pretty shaken up, actually.
He does.
Checking it out on the other screen.
Indeed, but this is hard, man. I mean, we've got our game going on in front of us, but yet we can see the other screen, too.
That's right. Just trying to keep you guys in the loop during the slower parts of the start of these games.
Indeed, indeed. All right, so gas little bit quicker here for Damaga.
That's right, opting for the gas before pool. but both players hatch first, so pretty standard, especially with this cross-map spawning situation. It's going to be quite a hike to get to your opponent's base.
Indeed, yeah. It's a nice big map. So we'll see what happens. Man, these ZVZs, man. Demaga, this is why he's one of my favorite players to watch, because he just has such a different attitude, a different way of playing the game that separates him from nearly any other Zerg out there.
That's right, in ZVZ, what's his answer? Get all of the tech.
Yeah, I guess so.
Ultra Broodlord, of course.
I mean, really, yeah. Who else do you see going Ultra Broodlord in ZVZ? Demaga's pretty much the only person out there that ever gets there.
Pretty darn funny.
Yeah. And how many people can evoke swarm hosts out of their opponent in ZVZ? It's just Demaga, you are a crazy guy.
He is indeed. All right. Well, the Overlord's starting to scout, and of course Demaga with that faster speed this time, with the faster gas.
Yeah.
Will he be able to do anything with it? Well, not too much faster as we see right now.
Oh yeah, yeah. So again, it's going to come down to the Baneling Nest, and then who decides to be more aggressive. If anyone decides to be more aggressive. Nobody's seeming to use the Ultralisk skin, really,
Baneling Nest pretty fast for Demaga.
Well, yeah, you got to get that early to stay safe. I'm sure we're going to see it pretty soon here from Revival as well. Maybe not, but I'd be a little bit surprised. Oh, there's the Evo chamber. Okay. The thing is that the choke is a little bit narrower on this map. And it looks like Demaga's going to lose an Overlord, unfortunately, there. But the choke is a little bit narrower on this map. So you can wall it off a little bit more. But you know what? Revival's not really using that Evo chamber to wall that off. So just kind of playing it a little bit risky, going without that Baneling Nest.
Wow,
and Demaga canceling his
Baneling Nest.
He
saw it.
Yeah, he saw there was no Baneling Nest for Revival, and at least he could make a good assumption about it. So deciding, hey, I don't need this. I'm going to go for Lair immediately. Demaga, I think he's going to be speeding up to those Mutalisks about as quick as he can here.
This is really smart play from Demaga.
Yeah, and look at this, +1 carapace for Revival. So he's kind of expecting to have to deal with Banelings, because if you don't have that Roach Warren out, or I'm sorry, if you don't have that Baneling Nest out, you need to at least get +1 carapace for your Zerglings to have any sort of chance of defending against Baneling Ling.
But Roach Warren for Demaga right now, and the Zerglings get up. He will see that Roach Warren, so he knows what's going on now. All is clear.
Oh, yeah. All is clear until Demaga cancels it once the Zerglings are dead and switches things up completely, but not this time. Okay, yeah, there's a +1 missile attacks. Yeah. Roach speed's going to be much quicker for Demaga, though, if he decides to go for that.
Yeah, look at that layer, nearly done again.
Yeah, he's going to have slightly quicker Zergling missile attacks, too. Kind of expecting Revival. Oh, yeah, I guess he's kind of stuck a little bit on finishing this carapace, so the...
You know what's interesting, though, is that we saw Demaga want to go for the fast +1 ranged and the Roach speed in Game 1, but he couldn't do it because of the Baneling all-in from Revival.
It's a bit tougher, yeah.
But without the Baneling Nest this time, that takes a lot of the threat away, so he might be able to actually pull off this build this time.
Yeah. Indeed. Roach Warren on the way, actually, for Revival, getting +1 melee attacks rather than +1 missile. So just trying to defend this with more of a mediocre sort of minimum force, and I wonder if we're going to see the Spire out of Revival with this.
Oh boy, the Zerglings slip in again.
Keeps getting in, man. Demaga's got to be a little bit more careful about that. He can't be giving away so much scouting information so consistently. Very, very cheap way to find out what's going on in the base.
Well, there we go. Roaches matched with Roaches from Revival.
This is
Revival
really...
actually going for the melee upgrades this time around.
Yeah, this is very interesting. Demaga can't quite deny that third from Revival just yet. He's going for his own third too, so he needs to kind of worry about his defense back at home. A lot of links coming out right now for both players, but yeah, that +2 carapace for Revival, I do like that. That makes his Lings very, very able to handle Roaches. That's why we see the +1 melee going as well. He's not really planning on adding on a whole lot of Roaches if he doesn't need to, I think, at this point. And we'll see what he's got planned. A little bit of a different build coming out for Revival. Demaga, though, playing things more or less standard here at this point.
Revival grouping up with a huge number of Zerglings right now and pushing across the map.
That carapace upgrade already helping him out quite a bit. Look at that. Ling versus Ling is going to go in his favor, and Demaga, he's probably going to have to cancel this.
We'll have to see his Lings coming in, chasing the
Maybe
Lings
not quite
off.
yet.
But look at this.
Boy.
He gets those Roach is surrounded just a little bit, and more Lings from Revival streaming across the map right now. He's staging. He's also getting that infestation pit up at home, and that's going to be no more third.
Yeah, Demaga going to lose that third base, it looks like. Continuing to go for the upgrades. Oh, he surrounds 2 queens, too. Oh, this is not looking good for Demaga, guys. There's a GG, and Demaga is out of WCS Season 1 Finals. Revival moves on to face Roro. And I gotta say,